Welcome to the National Women's Fitness Academy podcast. We're here to talk about women's health, female hormones, body image, and all things health and fitness.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Women's Fitness Academy podcast. I am one of your hosts, Ellen, a female empowerment coach, and I specialize in binge eating, confidence, and body image issues. And today I am here with someone who I recently just started following because one of my friends, Kate, shout out to Kate. She said this girl goes to my gym back in London and she's amazing. Like her page is very similar to yours, very body positive. I think you should interview her for the podcast. So I reached out to this girl called Jenny. On Instagram, you might know her from Jenny from the gym. I love that. She doesn't like the term influencer, but she does have quite a few followers and her page is amazing. Like if you guys, I'm so passionate about body confidence and body positivity. So if you like my page, you're definitely going to love hers. And she's currently helping other women or maybe men as well. Actually, I didn't even ask about that. But influencers who want to grow their pages and she has worked in a gym before, but now there's more like training and gonna train for an ultramarathon in September. So that was a long introduction. But anyway, Jenny, I'm so happy for you to be here.
Nice to be here.
So yeah, she's from London, everyone. So we have a very international guest today.
Hello.
Yeah, super excited to have you. And yeah, like I said, I really, really love your page. It is very body positive and very I love that everything that you post is so real and it's just there's no filters, there's no unnecessary editing or it just seems like you just post whatever you feel like posting. And I think that's very rare, especially these days where everything is so filtered and
Yeah, definitely. No, I like to try and keep it authentic as possible, rather than try and be because I agree, I think it's quite hard to find authenticness on social media now. So
yeah, absolutely. So talk to me about your own personal journey about this. Have you always had such a good confidence in yourself, or how did that kind of come about?
Yeah, probably absolutely not. I would say. So I've been training I probably first went to the gym when I was 18 because, I wanted to be skinny. I wanted to have a thigh gap. I wanted all those, things. Yeah. And I would say probably from the ages of about 18 to 26, I don't know what we want to call it, disordered eating or problems of food and definitely around training as well, maybe overtraining, not eating enough, always striving to be really skinny, I guess. And then I think from probably about the age of I'm 30 now, so probably from about 26, 27, I was no, it's time to make a change. I cannot literally live like this. And then I kind of went on a bit of a food freedom journey a little bit. Went into different sports. I was living out in Australia as well in my early 20s. And there was a person at the time, I was just doing a lot of cardio, and I had a personal trainer out there, and he was a little bit honest. He was you might have a bit of a problem. I was so he introduced me to weight training, and then I guess it kind of went from there essentially. And then and here I am now.
Wow, that's really cool. So he was kind of the one who caught on to it. Was there a reason? Why did you start going to the gym in the first place? Do you remember?
Yeah, so I think I first joined a gym when I was about 18. This is a bit deep, but it was my parents were getting divorced when I was in the house, and I was I just needed an escape. So I would literally just go, and I had this kind of mindset that I would go and run on the treadmill until I didn't feel like I could run anymore, which is not the best. I wouldn't recommend. But I didn't really know what to do, I guess. When you first start and you're there's some girls lifting weights and stuff like that. I never really knew what to do. So I just went and ran on the treadmill essentially. But I guess the goal was I always just wanted to be really skinny.
Yeah.
And that was always like a goal of mine. Like the smaller the better, essentially, when I first started. So that's probably the reason that I started as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so common. Like, I don't think I've interviewed anyone who started in the gym because they're like, I want to get big and strong. But like every single woman is like, I want to get skinny. I want to have a thigh gap. Like, I just want to be like really skinny, as skinny as possible.
Yeah. It's actually so common. I see these memes now, and it's like my goal when I first started the gym, and it's like a stick, and then it's like my goal now, and it's just like a gorilla. that is actually so true. I feel like so many girls have been through that like transition.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And like, I remember when I first started going to the gym, I had like, fat is your sweat crying, and like sweat is your fat crying, like stuff like that, or you can sleep when you're dead, and like rest is for losers and stuff like that.
It was so bad. I remember once I remember thinking at the time, this is such a great idea. My friend, she told me that she took a picture to the gym of a model and put it on the treadmill, as in when she was running towards this body. And I was, that is such a great idea. I'm going to do it as well. Wow. Like, that is amazing.
So
now
smart.
Like, I wish I could just go back and just hit myself. Yeah. So funny.
Yeah. But even like the gym, I remember the gym they used to go to was literally had blasted everywhere. Like, yeah, that's sweat is your fat crying, and like the dedicated work when everyone else sleeps or something, like just like quotes like that, all is blasted all over the gym. And I remember doing like spin classes or running, and like similar to your friend, like thinking about like, okay, when I'm done with this class, like I'm gonna be like one step closer to my goal weight, which is like 40 kilos.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like, I wish I could go back and tell myself it's not worth it, but I feel like so many of us have been through that. So many of us have been through that journey, and I think that's what I found on social media as well. When I started posting and like connecting with other girls, I was like, there's so many. That's what, like, there's so many people that have been through the same thing. And you kind of realize, I think with age as well, like that it's maybe not normal.
Yeah. I think it's a bit normalized like now to have maybe not an eating disorder, but definitely like disordered eating and kind of borderline orthorexia, like, you know, when you're just overtraining and you're eating overly clean and healthy and just really focused on like counting calories and burning a certain amount every day. And I mean, Apple Watches and Whoop and whatever, like they don't really help in that regard, because they're like, oh, I have to burn 600 calories in this workout, otherwise it's not a good workout. And I just hear stuff like that.
I've never chose to buy a watch. I never really have I've never really seen the point, because I think I don't really care how many calories I burn when I work out. I work out because, you know, it helps me stay mentally sane a little bit as well. But it's like, I don't like I've never really thought I'm going to buy a watch because it's expensive and I don't really need to know how many calories I've burned in that workout, you know. But I think as well at the time, I remember, like, you know, the phase of like the Stairmaster and everything like that, I would obsess about the calorie number on there as well. I think it was like such an achievement to get it really high.
100%. And like I used to do, like, get to like 90 and then be like, okay, I'm just gonna do 100, and then just 110, and then just 120, and then all of a sudden you've done the 2 hours in the freaking stupid Stairmaster machine.
I know. When I was living in Sydney, that's all I did. I went to Fitness First in Sydney, and I went every single day and walked on the Stairmaster, and I was just dripping in sweat every single day. And I always think looking back now, I think the people that work there must have been like, that girl lives on that machine.
Yes, she has a gym membership, and all she does is a Stairmaster.
She might as well pay rent, literally. She's there all the time. Yeah, literally. So funny.
Or just like walk up and down stairs in the building.
Yeah, honestly, I look back now, I'm like, oh my God, like I can't even remember the last time I stepped foot on a Stairmaster, but yeah.
It's like the biggest waste of money. Like, why would you just go up on the stairs?
Yeah, no, honestly, like I've got stairs in my flat here, but it's funny because like every time I walk up the stairs in the flat now, I'm like,
Yeah.
breathe.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Stairs, like, I mean, the stairmaster is freaking hard machine. I must say that, but it's probably not the best if you just yeah, in the gym, there's a lot of other things that you can do that are probably gonna give you a lot more benefit than this
Yeah,
stairmaster.
definitely. Yeah, 100%.
So, okay, so you started going to the gym because you wanted to lose weight, like very common amongst lots of people. And then the PT said to you that you should probably start lifting some weights. So, did that completely change your mindset straight away about how you wanted to look or why you're training, or like how was that journey?
Yeah, so I guess at the time I had a PT, and he kind of said to me, you know, you should probably start lifting some weights. And I think I remember like he put a 20 kilo bar on my back, and I honestly think I was so small that I nearly like collapsed under this like 20
Oh
kilo bar a
God.
little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I think this was at the time as well that I think like weight training was almost like, I guess, becoming a little bit trendy for girls as well. And I think in the gym that I was in at the time, like loads of girls were like lifting weights and like looking really good. So it was almost that switch of like, at the time, that point as well, I still had like aesthetic goals in my mind, but I didn't like, my mind was slowly switching into, you know, I wanted to build glutes and build like a big back and stuff like that a little bit. So I guess I started lifting weights from there, and I switched up all my sessions with him to weight training, moved back to the UK, carried on that journey, got into powerlifting a little bit. But I think that was definitely the switch with my relationship to food as well. It's like starting to lift weights, is because I was doing a PT course as well at the time, and I was like educating myself on, oh, food is fuel. Like if I want to go to the gym and get a deadlift PB, then I'm going to need to eat to get that. And if I want to build glutes or build a back, I actually need to be, you know, eating enough protein or just eating enough food to be able to get there. And like, you know, lifting the weights was making me
Yeah, of course.
like, yeah. So that's how that kind of went. And then COVID happened, which was a shame because then like the weights had to be put down for a bit as well. But yeah, I think lifting the weights was definitely like the switch in my mindset of food as well, because it kind of taught me that you actually need food. And I guess at the time I was always like quite influenced by people on social media, but I know some people can have like a negative view on it, but some of the people I followed were like weight training as well, and they were sharing like, you know, what they were eating and like how many calories and stuff like that. And I think, although I've never really been a big fan of the, you know, the post on calories and stuff, but at that time it kind of was like, I actually do need to eat. Do you know what I mean? If I want to actually build muscle, essentially. I was obsessed with, you know, Chrissy Chella.
No, I'm not so good with the influencer names.
Yeah, she's like a UK fitness influencer. She's massive now here, but I started following her when she was really small, and she was like lifting weights. I thought she looked really good and like eating a lot of food as well. And I was like, so I actually need to eat. Like that's one of the positive things social media actually did for me a little bit. If you can follow the right people, then it definitely like help change your mindset as well.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Yeah, because you hear so many stories about the opposite happening, like people comparing themselves to all these like really skinny people, or these copying people's workouts to be really skinny. But yeah, it's not that often that you hear it's had the opposite effect, which is, I think, is amazing. That's so good.
Yeah. I think it comes down to like a lot of like just following like the right people or someone that inspires you or something like that a little bit. Like I was big on like watching fitness YouTube and stuff like that, and it actually like had the opposite effect in terms of like my relationship with food, because I saw how much all these gym people were eating and I was like, is that right? Like a little bit. So but I think, you know, there's a lot of shit out there as well, definitely. So but even now I always make a cautious effort that if I don't like what someone's posting, or it's maybe triggering or whatever, I just unfollow them. Like, you don't need to fill your feed up with that stuff.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And especially like, I mean, you can never get rid of all triggers in your life, but just because we're literally glued to our phones, like the phone's in our hands all the time, you need to make a conscious effort to make sure that you are actually looking at people that you can support and that you can learn from, and not just toxic behaviors. It's kind of like, you know, back in the day where you could go to the grocery store and pick up a magazine. Like you can make an effort. Okay, do I want to read about gossip, or do I want to actually learn something? And that's basically what you're doing with your social media as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because there's always going to be random stuff that pops up, especially with like, you know, TikTok now and like people scrolling reels and stuff like that. But I think like you can make a bit of a because it's the social media is like the world we live in now, right? Make a conscious effort to follow people that you can relate to in some way, or that are kind of like normal. Like I listened to a podcast the other day, and it was like they were talking about how they feel like the phrase influencer is gonna go out of date in a few years, because people have started to almost like not hate them, but like it's like an unrealistic lifestyle or unrealistic body image and things like that, if that makes sense. I know that through my job as well, like a lot of them, like, you know, everyone looks great, but like some of the posts that we see, like it's lying, it's, you know, they know the angles and stuff like that, like a lot of it isn't real.
Yeah, that must be so hard to see, because I used to live in Bondi, so in like a Sydney kind of area, like very nice, and God, there's so many good looking people. But it's like so many influencers there. But and like, yes, they're gorgeous in real life as well, but online it's like this unachievable image of absolutely every single thing about them perfect. And it's like, well, if they're not even that perfect in real life, like how do they, like, you just can't set that expectation on yourself, because the people that you look up to don't even look like themselves.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think like it's people have set that an unrealistic body standard and everything like that, and I think that's what not the classic influencer, you know, people like posing with cars and, you know, things like that. I feel like they've almost like set out this unrealistic image, if that kind of makes sense. Yeah, but I used to live in Bondi as well, and not Bondi, I lived in Sydney, but like I used to go down to Bondi, and I was like, yeah, it's very like fitnessy, everyone's so attractive, right?
Yeah, everyone's so good looking, and fuck, that's amazing. And it has that's great. But it really, like when I moved there, I was like, wow, like it's actually true. Because I remember people used to say like, oh, like people don't look as good as they do online, and I was like, yeah, but that person's different, like they must look that pretty all the time. And then I'd see them on like a beach walk, and I'm like, they just look like a normal person, just like me. Like how are they how do they look so perfect online? But it's just so easy, I guess, now to edit your photos. And even like friends that I have, I'm like, whoa, like I had no idea you edited your photos. Because just when you don't do it yourself, you just don't see it.
Yeah, no, definitely. A few of my friends do it as well, but I think again, maybe like they've been influenced by other bigger influencers, like using apps and stuff like that. But definitely, like I think it's almost like if you can make an effort to, like, if you feel like you're following someone and they maybe have like a unrealistic lifestyle or something, like you can just remove them off your feed, and like try your best essentially to like get rid of that stuff off your social media, because it's not, personally, I don't think it's real life as much.
Yeah, and it's not very healthy. And even just like with the swipe across filters that we have on the stories, it's so easy to even just like the Paris one that just like smooths your skin out a bit. And it's like it's so tempting to do it, especially if you shoot and take a photo like on lighting, and you're like, oh, I can see like all my wrinkles or like my skin, like uneven skin and whatever. And it's so easy. It's like one swipe, it goes away. But it's kind of like telling yourself that you're not good enough as you are, because you have to put a filter up before anyone else can see it.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's so funny you say that about the Paris thing, because like there's always like a joke between me and my friends. It's like if someone takes a picture, someone's like, make sure Paris is on it, make sure Paris is on it, and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I agree. Because you take a picture, and I feel like on the natural Instagram, like you can see like some marks on your face or anything like that, and like swiping the Paris, you just think, oh, that's a little bit, yeah, that's a little bit better, isn't it? But yeah, no.
Yeah, no, I think I really try to make a conscious effort to not use it. Just because like I really want my followers to see that like what you actually look like. It's like even if it's just one person in their whole feed who looks real, I think that's gonna, because whenever I see a person and I'm like, oh my god, they have a pimple, or like they haven't like plucked the eyebrows perfectly or whatever, like I'm like, oh my god, there's another real person out there. It's not just me who's like this not perfect.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I think this year I made myself a resolution to try stop using filters. I definitely go back every now and then, but I did make myself like a resolution to try and stop, because there was one that I was using. I don't know what it even was, but it honestly just, I didn't look like that. And it changed me to this like, almost like an orange character. Like it made me really tanned. Like, yeah, I just did not actually look like that. And someone said to me at work, like, Jenny, why'd you keep using that filter? I was like, I don't actually know. Maybe like I need to stop. Do you know what I mean? Because that isn't what I look like. And stuff. Yeah. And I wouldn't want to portray an unrealistic thing to anyone else either, and then they see me in real life sweating like oh no, she doesn't look orange, like
yeah, exactly. And I was talking to one of my friends. She's a little bit self-conscious, and she always uses like this filter that looks like much she's wearing makeup, and she's like justified it as well, at least I don't have to put makeup on to go on camera. And like I get that. I get like, but she's very aware, like she has an insecurity and she's working through it. So like, it's I think as long as you're aware of why you're doing it, and also being aware of like other people as well, like that is actually a filter. They don't actually look that perfect in real life.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think it's good that Instagram has it at the top, that it's like, oh, by the way, this is a filter, if that makes sense. I think they have something, if you click through Instagram stories, if someone has a filter on, it should actually like show up, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think if you're self-aware, then like it's fine. That's one thing I've tried to do in my 20s, like is like try and be self-aware, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. So with your job then, that is it, what do you do? I've never even heard of anyone doing that.
Yeah, so essentially it's like if someone has like a massive following on TikTok or like Instagram or anything like that, and like it's around fitness, we might bring them on to the company, and if they want to release like a fitness app, for example, so they want to release their like workout programs, their meal plans, etc., then we help them release their own app and then kind of like run it in the background for them. As if we're like their business partners a little bit. So yeah, and some of the people like that I'm working with are like pretty big influencers in the UK, like a real mix of people. I probably work with about 20 myself, and the company works with about 350. But
wow,
it's a real mix. Like, yeah, it is really cool, to be fair, because I think I was always so into fitness Instagram back in the day, so to see some of the people in the office and stuff like that is pretty cool. But again, it's a real mix, that in my own like portfolio of people, it's a real mix of people. Like the females that I work with, they're actually a lot of them are actually really similar to me and share like a lot of the same values around body positivity, food freedom, and everything like that. And then the boys that I work with, they're kind of like young gym bros.
Love that.
So like yeah, so kind of like they're a little bit more like, you know, biceps and aesthetic posing, if that kind of makes sense. But yeah, no, so it's cool. But I think a lot of people think I'm a coach, which I used to be, but then I kind of enjoyed the business development side of stuff behind the scenes. That kind of makes sense. Yeah,
I think you just kind of assume that when someone has like quite a few followers on Instagram, it's like, oh, they're a coach. When I talked to Kate, I was like, oh, is she a coach? She's like, I don't think she's a coach, but she's in the gym a lot.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely there a lot. And I used to coach as well. So after, when I came back to the UK, I did my PT course out in Australia, and then came back to the UK and I coached for a bit. I coached some girls from Instagram and stuff like that. And just preferred kind of like the corporate life. I guess.
That's really
Yeah.
cool. So I know that girls, because most of the girls who listen to this are either they might be studying with us, or they might have done a qualification with us, or they might just be someone who wants to set up a business, or they might be someone who's looking for a coach or want to learn.
Yeah.
But for the people who are coaches, and like, because I can imagine a lot of people be like, oh my God, that is such a cool idea. Like, is there any like requirements that you need? Do you need a certain amount of followers, or can you be from Australia and do it? Like, what's
so in terms of like, I don't think you need, I think in terms of setting up like an online coaching business, I would say having a following helps. Definitely. And I see that at work as well, right? Like the people with like a really engaged audience have get more interest, get more clients, or get people more on board, if that kind of makes sense. I think like, you know, to go out there and coaching, like to coach in gyms, or to set up like your own PT business, maybe not necessarily, but I do think having a social media presence can really help, like being a coach, because I think if you just have a little bit of a community online, then it can just really help up your business, if that kind of makes sense. Personally, I think it really helps.
For sure. What if they want to work like with someone like yourself? Like, do you guys have any requirements?
So we always say we want to work with the top 5% of people within the UK. So
it's not like they couldn't come from Australia.
No, but we so the actual company hasn't we haven't gone to Australia yet. So we've actually just, because it's a Danish company. And we're in like Denmark, Sweden, Norway, UK. We've went to America, just gone to Canada, and I'm like, guys, just so you know, when we go to Sydney, I'll go. Back, please. I want to go. Yeah, because I absolutely love Sydney. So, you know, keep your eyes out, hopefully.
Well, I mean, if it's already in Canada, like that's so far away. So like Australia will be next on the map.
I really hope so, because there's so many, like, as every now and then as well, because we sometimes we like, I guess, hunt for people as well on social media, so for people that might be like a good fit and stuff like that. And you know, the amount of like good accounts I've seen in Australia, because I think like when I was living in Australia, I find that a lot more people there have like a really like fitness orientated lifestyle compared to here. If that makes sense. Like the lifestyle in Sydney was so healthy.
Fitness is massive in Australia. Like, it's so I feel like so many people train, it's kind of like one or the other. Like, you either like hate the gym, don't eat healthy, you don't do anything, or you're like really into the gym, you go 5-6 days a week, you eat really well. And it's a very cool place to live in that aspect, because it's very easy to make friends who have like similar interests to you. So with your own Instagram then, how did that come about? Like, how did you start that? Like, was the goal always to grow it quite big, or?
You know what, I think I started it when I was I probably like in Sydney, and I was like, that's when when I was there, I really like got into this whole like really healthy lifestyle, if that makes sense. And I was like, I loved going to the gym. Like, I loved waking up on the weekend and going. Like, I just really like enjoyed it. And I started taking like a few gym pics and like making it a little bit more fitness based. And then I remember I came back to the UK. I was like, I'm going to start posting my workouts that I'm doing on social media. And the first one, I was so nervous to post it. Like, I made the whole video like fast forward. So it was like just really quick.
Super fast.
I was so scared to upload it. And then I just kept on posting from there. I promised myself that I was going to be like consistent. And then it's originally started to grow because I started to not slate, but like, so, you know, some like meal replacement companies and stuff like that. I started to like talk about that on my social media, and how like it's actually bad to like, you know, replace your meals with like shakes, and we need to be eating food and things like that. And I started talking a little bit about that on my social media, and that's what, back in the day, like that's originally what like got an interest. And then I was really consistent with it. And then I think throughout COVID, I was like, I kind of lost a little bit of interest. Definitely like this year was like, I promised myself that I was going to be consistent with it. And stuff like that. And it started to like pick back up. I did like a series at the start of this year it was called Just Show Up, as in like you just go, just go. And it was just like me in the gym, like, oh, this is, you know, just me going to CrossFit I was doing at the start of this year. And now it's like kind of based around running and stuff like that. So yeah, it's started to grow again. And I think definitely through like my job, I've kind of seen like what people can achieve online.
Yeah.
And the opportunities that come up. So that's definitely like, it's definitely pushed me to be consistent with it. Because before you kind of like, oh, you know, can't really be bothered to make content and stuff like that. But now I'm like trying to make videos every day for TikTok and for Instagram as well, and just kind of seeing what happens for the year.
Yeah. Do you think that you'd ever just want to do that, like not do the other job?
Maybe. Hopefully they don't listen to but like, you know, that there's definitely like if it got to a point that you know, it grew enough and stuff like that, then like I'd never say never. Do you know what I mean? I've always kind of like worked in, like, since moving to London, like worked in like a real like corporate-y environment. It's always been fitness and stuff, but I think since working at the job I have done now, I've been there like 2 years, and seeing the opportunities that just come up for people and stuff like that, and like what, you know, where you can actually get to with social media, like I think like, wow, that's, you know, it's I guess it's the dream at the end of the day, isn't it? But we'll see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah. What do you, is it like a certain number that you've seen that people start to really like make a living of it and get lots of opportunities, or is it like different for everyone?
Yeah, it's definitely different for everyone. And I think it's like, it can definitely compare to, it's having a community on your page. I actually don't think followers matter too much. Like you can have, you know, you can have 1 million followers on TikTok and, you know, hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. But, you know, are those people engaged with what you're doing? Some of the most like successful people I've seen, like they, you know, it can still range between like 5 and 20K. It's all about like, have they got a community on their page is like the main thing. And I always say, I saw someone talk about this on TikTok the other day that was like, you know, to have a community, you need to like have a niche, but you also need to be the niche as well, if that kind of makes sense. And stuff. So I think it's more about community rather than if, you know, if people buy into you, then perfect, a little bit, rather than just like building an audience like that's huge, but are those people engaged with you, if that kind of makes sense. It's kind of like a good example is people that go on like reality shows, so like Love Island and stuff like that. You know, they've gone in, they've built this massive following, but in 2 weeks does anyone really care?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I was having this conversation with someone last week about how that it is so important to build a community. And like I see it so much with new coaches, like the people who started off with just doing like a free food page, or they just started off posting like their own journey and they weren't coaches or anything like that. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I'm a coach. And then bam, they just get booked out straight away.
I've seen that so much. I've seen that so much as well, because they're a lot of the time they're the type of peoples that we will try and reach out to, and it's crazy if they've already built that, like, you know, that audience that will just buy into whatever they do, basically, like, and that's having a community. They could be like, here's my podcast, or, you know, I'm a coach, or whatever it is, and people will just be there.
100%. 100%. I think it's so important to build that personal brand, and just because, like you said, like you could literally sell anything. Like if you have a strong enough personal brand and people like you, they're gonna buy from you. Like there's a million fitness coaches out there. Like you need to stand out.
Yeah, 100%. I think, like, you know, having a niche, or like just having that community on your page is like, it could literally be the difference, you know, between like I guess like some of the way like people I work with, I'm always like, it's like they're financially free, right? And some of them are so young as well, because they've just built this they just started posting, like I think one of the people I work with as well, he's like, just started posting his journey really really young, like fitness, and he's just had all these like, I guess, guys follow him, like build muscle and stuff like that, and now he's like, he's made it, I guess, like a little bit, do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I always say, even one of my coaches, she just said to me, she was like, just start posting, like, like figure out your thing and just like get your stuff out there, because it could literally just take one video as well.
Yeah, and that's like the cool thing with social media, is that you could literally make a viral content today, and then tomorrow you could wake up and you could have like a gazillion opportunities or money or whatever. Like it's actually so crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's downsides to social media and stuff like that, like trolls and things, but like that never has really bothered me. I always it's funny because every time my social media grows a little bit or a video does well, you just get the men like, "Oh, she's fat," like and stuff, and I'm like, keep commenting.
Well, yeah, I was gonna ask you about that, because I find that every time I post stuff like, or not every time, but a lot of the times it's like you either get you're ugly, you're fat, you're not good enough, la la la, all that, or it's like you're not like big enough to post about body positivity. Like that's like you can't complain because you're normal or whatever. Like how do you handle the trolls?
Honestly, like I think because I got a really, really bad one that I got this. I should have really blocked him, but honestly, like because he kept messaging me every morning and was like, "Good morning, Burger Queen. Have you ate your first meal of like 10,000 calories yet?" And I was like, what? And honestly, I know this is going to sound really, really strange, but I weirdly like enjoyed it because I just thought it was quite funny. And my friends started calling me Burger Queen for a week and stuff like that. And it's like, I think because I've built my confidence up so much that nothing like that. But at the same time, like if that was someone else getting that comment, that could really, really destroy them. Like, and it's, you know what, as well, it's funny because it's obviously it's not all men, but it's I never ever get a comment from a girl. Ever.
Really?
Yeah, I've never in the past, like this year I've had, because it's my social media started to grow a little bit, and I've never ever had a comment from a woman. It's funny, girls are like, "My God, you inspire me." One of a girl commented on my TikTok the other day, like, "Your marine style fit," and then you just get men like, "You're fat, you're like, you're 30 and single, like you're this," and I'm thinking like, keep commenting, you keep boosting my post. Like, yeah. It's funny. There was this post. And it's my best friend is really quick runner, and we did a half marathon, and she ran it an hour quicker than I did. So I made like a little funny meme about it, and it went viral. And it's just the guys in the comments are like, "Well, you're fatter than she is," and like, and it's like, yeah, but it's always guys.
Oh my God, I cannot believe that. But I found it so funny. Like a lot of the times when I get comments from guys, I usually go into my DMs and I'm like hidden DMs or like requests or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I recognize his name. And like 9 times out of 10, they have sent me like a message or something that I haven't replied to, and then they take it out in the comments. So I think it's a lot about like their ego, or they're feeling like threatened by a woman who can do something that they wish that they could do. And they just like have to keyboard warrior out like the anger.
Yeah, no, it's so strange. So I always think of it as like, who is sat at home commenting on random girls' Instagrams or TikToks or something? I'm just posting like running reels and calm down.
Yeah. It's like, why does this trigger you so much? Like, what is actually going on for you?
Yeah, literally. And yeah, no, it's funny, but it doesn't really bother me. But I sometimes think it's like it could really bother someone else. Maybe if it was when I'd first started the page and I was like, going through the confidence journey and stuff like that, then could have really like bothered me. But now I think I just find it quite funny, to be honest. Yeah.
How, because I can imagine like most people would get quite like upset if they got a comment like that. How did you kind of work through that and build a confidence to be like, no, I honestly don't care?
Yeah, I think it's just been like a journey of like, I guess like building up my confidence. I think going to the gym, you build like a confidence as well. And I think with age as well, I'm just like, like it's really not that deep, if that kind of makes sense. I think, I think I've just built myself up to a point that, you know, I wouldn't really like care about someone's comment on me like that, I guess. There's some things I do, like I always speak well to myself and things like that, you know, like if I think I look nice on that day, I'll be like, you look nice today. But I think like small things like that, I just build myself up essentially.
Oh, that's so yeah. I think, well, it's hard to, it's definitely hard to deal with, but I think everyone starts somewhere, and even like saying small things like that to yourself, I think it does really matter. Like something I always ask my girls about, because I work mostly with girls who struggle with binge eating or low self-esteem, like confidence issues. It's like, okay, well, how would you talk to yourself if you like dropped your coffee on the floor or like forgot to get milk at the shops? Like, would you say that, oh, you're stupid, you're a slut, like you can't do anything, you're clumsy, you're failure? Like, if you talk to yourself like that in a situation that's not stressful, how would you ever talk to yourself if you got a comment online, or if you binged, or if you put on a skirt from last year that doesn't fit anymore? Like, you need to start small, and then that's gonna show when in those stressful situations as well. And it's like you said, you do these daily like nice things for yourself to prove to yourself that you are worthy, and you know, you have that self-love. So what anyone else says doesn't really matter.
I think definitely like changing. I think that was a proper game changer for me, is like changing the way you actually speak to yourself, and speak about yourself as well. I think it's really easy to sit there and talk to yourself in like a negative way. I think if you actually switch that around, I think that was actually one of the biggest things that made me like confident just over time, is like, and stuff like that basically. So there's this one girl that I follow, she's called Natalie, and she's really cool as well. She's always just like, it's just the way she speaks to herself, she's just like, there's nothing I cannot do, like, and that's her like phrase, and she says it all the time and stuff. And it's like, I think the way you speak to yourself can be a game changer.
Oh God, absolutely. I love that. There's nothing I cannot do. And it's so true. Like, you can literally do anything you put your mind to. It's just like, people are always doing things that you want to be doing because they're not held back by their negative self-talk. Like, I think that especially as females, we're so told to like stay small, don't try too hard, don't be too loud. And like, other people, like, they could do it because they have all this stuff that you don't have. But in reality, like, people who overcome binge eating, like, they're not better than someone else, and they don't have more, you know, self-power or anything. It's just the fact that they actually went for it. They just told those voices to like, shut the fuck up. I'm gonna start becoming confident now. I'm gonna start working on myself. I'm gonna do this for myself. And anyone can literally do it. It's just a matter of actually going for it and doing the work.
Literally, like, there's these things, it's like, you know, there's that one sound on Instagram that's like, what does it say? Something about like, if you wait till you're good to start, like, you're never gonna start. Like, you just need to like go and start, right? And I think that's one of the things running's really helped me with as well, because I think, you know, it was about 18 months ago, like, I literally went out on a 5k and I literally couldn't even get past 2 and stuff like that. And now it's like, I just went back, and now it's like I'm training for my first ultra basically. And it's like, you can literally do anything, you just have to go and do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love that so much, and I think that's a really good note to end on. But I think I've gotten so much out of it. I love listening to you talk, and I can see that how passionate you are about this. And it's gonna be, I'm so glad I found your page. It's gonna be so cool to follow your journey. And good luck with the ultra marathon that you're gonna do, which is fucking crazy.
Wish me luck.
But for the people who want to reach out to you or get in contact, where's the best place to find you?
Honestly, just send me a DM on Instagram. If anyone wants to reach out, they can just DM me on Insta. I will always reply to people.
Yeah. I was like, when like Kate told me to message, I was like, oh, I don't know if she replied because she has a lot of followers. Because it's hard, like it is hard, like for people who get loads of requests. It's like hard to go through the request box, and especially when it's half men who either have something really mean to say or just want to say something really naughty and like dirty, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
But that's great to hear. Send her a message. Definitely go check out her page. It's very, very motivating. And I really look forward to following your journey.
Thank you.
Guys, as usual, if you like this podcast, please make sure you do take a screenshot. You tag myself, tag Jenny. Obviously we'll put your Instagram handle in the show notes so anyone can just easily come and have a look. And don't forget to tag Women's Fitness Academy as well, guys, because we love connecting with you and getting a face to who's listening to these episodes.
Thank you.
Amazing. Well, Jenny, I'm gonna let you get to the gym. I'm gonna hit the gym as well. But it was so nice to talk to you, and everyone else who's listened, thank you for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode. Bye.
Thank you.